Welcome back to Thoughts on Investing. So what happens when a single court ruling completely flips the script on the entire market? Well, this week, we got to see it happen in real time. We're going to break down how that one decision sparked a massive rally, dig into the wild tug-of-war happening in the AI sector, and, uncover which old-school companies were quietly stealing the show. Let's get right into it.
Okay, but before we jump in, just a quick heads up. This breakdown is for educational purposes only. It's definitely not financial advice, so please, as always, do your own homework before making any investment decisions.
So think about it. You've got a huge court ruling, a super volatile AI sector, and then you have geopolitical tensions, all pulling the market in different directions. With all that noise, what was the one thing that really drove the action this week? The answer might actually surprise you.
All right, first up, let's talk about the main event. Because more than anything else, a single legal decision totally defined the market's direction this week. Let's unpack exactly what happened and why it was such a big deal.
So this was the headline that just changed everything. The Supreme Court strikes down the global tariff plan. Now, the core of the ruling was basically that the president had overstepped by using emergency powers for such massive economic policy. The second this news hit the wires, the whole trajectory for the market that week, it was completely rewritten.
And the market's reaction? Oh, it was fast. All three major indexes just shot up, completely reversing their losses for the week. Now, the biggest winners were the sectors that had the most to lose from tariffs, right? We're talking tech, retail, transportation, companies that rely on global supply chains. And get this, digital ad companies like Alphabet and Meta, they soared. The thinking was pretty simple. If businesses have lower costs, well, they'll have more money to spend on advertising. Just like that, this huge cloud of policy uncertainty was gone, and confidence came rushing back in.
But, the tariff story, that wasn't the only thing going on. The other major theme was this ongoing tug-of-war in the AI space, a real seesaw between incredible hype on one side and some very real fears about the future on the other.
This slide just captures that tension perfectly. The bull case? It's easy to see. You had NVIDIA leading the charge on just insane demand. You had new AI gadgets creating all this buzz around Apple, and Alphabet was pouring money into its infrastructure. But then you have the bear case, which is just as strong. These nagging worries that AI is going to totally disrupt entire industries, everything from software to finance. That fundamental conflict is what drove so much of the volatility this week. Let's just zoom in on one of those bull cases for a moment. This number, a jump of more than 3% in a single day for a company the size of Apple, that was a huge deal midweek. And what was behind it? It was pure excitement over reports that Apple is doubling down on developing new wearable AI devices, things like augmented reality glasses. It just goes to show you, even with all the anxiety in the background, a powerful story about innovation can still totally capture the market's imagination.
But here's the thing. While tech was grabbing all the headlines, you'd be missing a huge part of the story if you stopped there. The market's strength was actually much broader than that, with a lot of momentum coming from way outside of Silicon Valley.
I mean, just take a look at this. Energy stocks got a really solid lift from rising oil prices, mostly fueled by those geopolitical tensions between the US and Iran. Then you had industrials, which are riding high on genuinely strong earnings reports and some really optimistic guidance. And even agriculture had some incredible standout performers. This all points to a much healthier, broader market rally, not one that's just propped up by a few big tech names. And speaking of those standouts, we have to give a special shout out to this one, Deere & Company. Agriculture and industrial equipment, it absolutely ripped to record levels this week. And the reason why is a perfect reminder of what really matters in the long run. And it's that earnings still matter. A lot. Deere's amazing run was driven by fantastic earnings, and they weren't the only ones. Despite all the drama in the headlines, at the end of the day, solid company performance is still king. You saw Opendoor surge on good home sales data. Live Nation popped because concerts are roaring back. Shopify got a nice bump from a bullish analyst. It all comes back to the fundamentals.
Okay, that was a lot to cover in a pretty dynamic week. So let's slow down for a second and distill this all down into a few key takeaways. What does all of this action really mean for you?
So what are the big lessons here? First, never underestimate how much government policy can move the market. That was the #1 catalyst. Second, AI is a double-edged sword. There's immense opportunity, but also real risk, and that equals volatility. Third, it really paid to look beyond tech this week. Strength in sectors like energy and industrial showed this rally had legs. And finally, through all the noise, strong company earnings are still the bedrock of performance.
And that leaves us with the big question as we look ahead, right? You've got policy, technology,
and geopolitics all pulling the market in their own directions. Which one of these powerful forces is going to win the tug-of-war next week? It's definitely something to keep an eye on.
And that is our breakdown for the week. Hey, if you found this useful, hitting that like and subscribe button would be a huge help, and it makes sure you won't miss our next recap. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.